Magic number 2, 2 lessons left. 2 lessons left. That's right. You're excited. I can tell. Today we're going to do nth term of geometric sequence. Before we do that, I'm about to blow your mind. I'm sure some of my high flyers already knew about this button, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. Okay. There's this beautiful button under the word math. And you can go up or down, doesn't matter, but you're going to go to summation. And why, look at that. It's hard to see. Look at that. It is the summation. Now, what you would type would be, so I'm looking at number 13. If you had X, I would type X. I mean, you could put K, but X is your variable. And then you're going to put 3, arrow up to the top, which would be 8. And then inside this parenthesis has to be the entire formula written correctly, or else you'll mess it up, especially when what we're doing today. Today is usually where students mess up a lot, but it'd be 5x minus 10. And hit enter. There's your sum right there. Simple. It already sums it for you. Now, I'll let you do this come a quiz or something like that, but I wanted you to learn what it actually means and what it actually represents, because we are going to be needing that a lot next year at this point when you take calculus. But coolness. So now you can just check your homework and make sure you did that part right. But the nth term of a geometric sequence. Now, what makes a geometric sequence as opposed to an arithmetic sequence? So if you had something like 8, 16, 32, what are you doing? Yeah, you're multiplying by 2. You're multiplying by something, or some people say dividing, but dividing would be the same as multiplying by a fraction. So this would be considered a geometric sequence right here, 8, 16, 32. Okay, and again, let's just go over these parts. This would be your first term in the sequence. So this would be like my number 8. R represents the word common ratio. Common ratio. So that ratio would be what you're multiplying by. Are you multiplying by a half? Are you multiplying by 5? Are you multiplying by -1? That's what goes here. And then, and depending on what position you want, do you want the 100th term? Do you want the 99th term? That goes here for n. So pretty similar to what we did yesterday. Only got 3 examples today. Yay! So let's do this. Write an equation for the nth term of 0.5, 2, 8, 32. So, what are we doing to go up every time? So a sub 1 would be 0.5. That would be our first position. Our R, we're going up, is 4. If we're writing an equation, remember like yesterday, you just leave n as n. So you just write this. A sub n equals a sub 1, 0.5 times R, which is 4, and then leave the n open, n minus 1. There you go. That's how easy this is. I know you're like, stop it. You're joking. I'm not joking. It doesn't get harder. Not really. Write an equation for a sub 4 equals 5 and r equals 6. So again, what does this notation mean? This means that your fourth number, 1, 2, 3, 4, is 5. And then it has a ratio of 6. So you're multiplying by 6 every time. So you could divide by 6. And this is a pretty small, so you could divide it to get what that first term is. But I really would like to see you use the formula. Okay? So if we're trying to figure out a sub 1, we use the formula. A sub n equals a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. We use what we're given. We're given a sub 4, which we know is 5. A sub 1 is what we're trying to figure out. R, we're given that, 6. So 6 to the n minus 1. If we know the fourth position and we know that that's 5, what do we plug in for n? If we know the fourth position is 5, what do we plug in for n? Do we plug in 4 or 5? We plug in 4. my fourth position. Remember, n means position. So this would be 6 to the third, which is 216. So divide by 216, it would be 5 divided by 216. That is a sub 1. Yes, you could have divided by 6, then divided by 6, then divided by... Please, try not to do that. So now let's write our equation. That's just step 1. Let's write our equation, step 2. A sub n equals a sub 1 r to the n minus 1. So leave your n's open. Plug in your a1, which you got over here. Your r is 6, and leave your n open. That's it. There is the formula that will help you find any term in that sequence. All right, and our last and final thing, how do you sum geometric sequences? And so here is how we find a series. And again, you can plug this into the calculator. I'll show you how to do it in a minute. I do want to see us do this formula, and you're going to actually need to know these formulas and how to work on them for the test and quizzes. So 2 different formulas here. Again, depends on what they give you. A sub 1 minus a sub 1 times r to the n over 1 minus r, or a sub 1 minus a sub n times r. I've seen some books rewrite this as a sub 1 factored out. Like our book does that actually. So, I mean, it's up to you, however it's written. But again, if they give me an AN, I'd probably do this. If I give me an A1 and an R, I'd just do that. It depends on what's given to me. So let's talk about this right here. I want to find the sum from 3 through 10 of 4 times 2 to the k minus 1. So what does this mean? Let's just find out what our first term here would be. What would be our A1? In order to get our A1, we'd plug 3 in for k. So that would be 4 to the 2, plugging 3 in would be squared. Order of operations says to do exponents first, so that's 4 times 4 is 16. This is your A1. And you're going to add that to, let's just do another one. Now you would plug in 4 right here. We went from 3, right, plugging it in. Now we're going to go to 4. So 4 times 2 to the 4 minus 1 is 3. 2 to the third is 8. 8 times 4 is 32. And keep going and going and going and going until we plug in our last one, which is 10. So it'd be 4 times 2 to the 10 minus 1, which is 9. And that one I'm going to cheat. I think it's 2048. Okay. Now, we've got to actually sum these. So again, it's up to you, whichever formula you want to use. I use both of them, but S sub n equals, I think I'll use the second one here. A sub 1 would be 16. Oops, minus A sub n is 2048 times R. What's my common ratio? Yeah, what am I going up by? 2. And actually, that's right here. So times 2 divided by 1 minus R. 1 minus 2. So using my handy dandy calculator, 2048 times 2 is 4096. 16 minus 4096 divided by -1 would be 4080. Now let's just check and see if I can do it on my little, sorry for the glare. Will that go away? No. I'm going to put this into my calculator. So I'm going to go to math. And then again, I usually arrow up, summation. Watch how I put this in. This would be x equals 3. The top would be 10. When you put this in, see there's a parenthesis right here. So you want to put all of this, not the k minus 1 on the outside. All of this needs to be inside that parenthesis. So 4 parenthesis 2 to the power of x minus 1. Do not let that power be on the outside. This all has to be inside. And then hit enter. and 4080. That's what we got. Okay. So you are going to do homework number 2, which looks like this, geometric sequences and series. And you're going to do 1 through 15 and then number 20. 1 through 15, not 1, 15, and 20. 1 through 15, all of them, and then number 20. And take a picture and send that to me and Mr. Belk. Adios. One more left. Oh my gosh, one more left. I'm dying.